yes, we have a harder job because sometimes I think we're tough on Democrats, saying, why aren't you being as mean, tough, and nasty as they are? And I think we shouldn't get discouraged by the fact that we have a tougher job. What we should do is expect that our side is smart enough to figure it out.
And that's where you run into the problem right there. Then you start firebombing everybody and shooting up hockey games because you're all transgender. That's, of course, Barack Hussein Obama. He is not on our side. Boy, is he not on our side. Never has been. Womp, womp, womp. Yes. That Barack Obama doing another one of those hard-hitting podcasts. Some guy named Brian Tyler Cohen fluffing his hero, Barack Hussein Obama, who can slow the rise of the oceans. And he can, and this podcaster can finish Barack Obama's sentences for him. He knows what Barack Obama's thinking, and mid-sentence, the fluffer, Brian Tyler Cohen, jumps in to say, "Oh, I know, I agree with you before you even say it," and it's an act of pseudo-journalistic gratification being performed upon Barack Hussein Obama because you know how they are. They're like that. And I've got another. Let's go to the soundbite numero uno, as the Democrat Party likes to say. Barack Obama. Here he is being fluffed by another fake, not a journalist, whatever he is, just a Democrat puddin' boy over here, Brian Tyler Cohen. And he said, gosh, those Republicans, they're so mean. They're so, they're Nazis, they're fascists, they're Hitler. They're going to destroy democracy. They're going to kill us all. They're killing American citizens, gunning them down in the streets, all this good stuff. And here is Barack Hussein Obama with his boy toy, this little podcasty thing, Brian Tyler Cohen. And those Republicans are really so mean. If we could only be as mean as they are.
The other side does.
The other side.
The mean, angry.
Demagoguery.
Exclusive.
Demagoguery. He jumps in to say demagoguery.
Divisive politics. That's their home court.
You say divisive.
Our court is...
I say divisive.
Coming together.
Yeah, our side is coming together because that's what you're all about. And that's... Yeah, and the little boy jumped in and said demagoguery. Demagoguery. That's a big word. That's almost as big as the word that AOC used. She used a big word back there. Yeah, demagoguery. Yeah, sure. That's what's going on here. And what is a demagogue? A demagogue is Webster's dictionary. A political leader who appeals to popular prejudices and who makes false claims and promises in order to gain power. Well, if that is not the very picture of Barack Hussein Obama, come on. There it is. Appeals to popular prejudices. The most divisive president of my lifetime, the most racially divisive president of my lifetime was Barack Hussein Obama, who's not on Team America. But there it is. He's sitting there with this fluffer and said, well, yeah, those Republicans are so mean and they're so divisive, which reminded everyone, of course, of everything that the Democrats have been saying forever about everyone, including Tim Walz.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets.
Gazpacho.
They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. No chance to mount a defense.
Foreign torture dungeons. That's... You're killing 1 million babies a year and harvesting their organs. You're shooting and killing 20,000 people a year in the United States of America in murders, including about 9,000 black people every year. every one of them shot by Democrats, except for one. And that's the only one that matters. And we don't know who that is, but they'll decide next year. Oh, look, hey, wait, a white guy killed a black guy. That's a big news story. Happens 9,000 other times. Black guy kills a black guy, not a news story. That's okay. But there it is. And what do you say, the gazpacho? The Republicans have gazpacho. They have a spicy Spanish soup. And they're the Gestapo. You see, that's the Democrats. Because Barack Obama and his boy toy just said, oh, yeah, those Republicans are so mean and divisive and demagogic that they do all these terrible things. And then it turns out Tim Walz, who they ran for vice president inexplicably, with Kamala Harris, who they ran for president inexplicably, and she didn't win one vote in any democratic process. There was no democratic process at all. The fascists at the top of the Democrat Party just picked her out of a lineup and said, hey, let's lie to everybody about her and make her president. Then we can really lay waste to the place. So there it is, gazpacho and the Gestapo and all that, and Bernie Sanders and Barack Obama. Yeah, they're mean and nasty, and we're all about coming together. That's what Barack Obama said. And he's talking about just to spread monkeypox in an oil pit. We know what he's talking about. Bernie Sanders is a communist, and one of his presidential campaign volunteers shot Congressman Steve Scalise and nearly killed him, wanted to kill the entire Republican baseball team. And so Bernie Sanders, his campaign volunteer, again, a Democrat presidential campaign volunteer, assassinated Martin Luther King. A Democrat presidential campaign volunteer shot Congressman Steve Scalise. A Democrat donor shot Donald Trump. And, yeah, those Republicans sure are divisive. Bunch of Nazi, fascist Hitlers destroying our democracy. Bernie Sanders.
We are living in a moment where the Republican Party has, to a large degree, become a cult of the individual.
No, not individualism. Whereas the Democrat Party is the cult of Jonestown and Jim Jones and the People's Temple and the poison Kool-Aid that everybody lined up for. That is the Democrat Party, and they called themselves socialists at Jonestown, just like Bernie Sanders does in the United States. Joe Biden was bringing the country together, too.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Yes, all Trump supporters, 78 million people, garbage floating out there. That's because, the Republicans really divide the country, and they're demagogic, and they tear the country apart. And the Democrats are really about bringing people together like Hillary Clinton for an orgy.
You can put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it. They're offensive, hateful, mean-spirited. They are irredeemable, but thankfully they are not America.
And then she detonated her suicide vest in the Catholic Church because she's pro-gay or something. I just asked her Attorney General, Janet Reno. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? But the Democrats, I just heard Barack Obama say it, the Democrats bring everybody together, and it's the demagogic Republicans that are divisive and tear everybody apart. Nancy Pelosi.
He's just a vile creature, the worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah, I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the President of the United States, and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. He's abolished the House of Representatives. Right. He's chilled the press. He's scared people who are in our country legally.
Right. Everything she said is a fatuous lie. She's a grotesque street prostitute but she's a member of Congress. But she's a great investor, a great Wall Street investor. She outperforms the Dow Jones Industrial Average. She outperforms the greatest money masters in New York City because it's all perfectly legit, right? Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Yes, sir. Yeah, and they got Barack Obama. He came out of Larry Sinclair's basement, and he's the man with whom he had the gay sexual affair with all the cocaine and all that good stuff. Got that? Yes, sir. Now the Democrats, because they're not divisive, they're not homophobic, they're heterophobic, they're Anglo-Caucasiaphobic, they're Ameriphobic, they have irrational fears of everything normal. They're normophobic because of their irrational fear of normal. Aren't they amazing? And Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton, she was also in Munich. They love Munich because that's where Hitler started. So they go there, the Democrats do, for their torchlight ceremonies to worship the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler. And they're good honestly. And then it's so ironic they go around calling everybody else Hitler while they behave in such a Hitler-like fashion. But here is Hillary Clinton in Munich with Tim McBride, Democrat Congressman Tim McBride. Tim McBride says, "No, I'm a lady, and call me Sarah McBride. I'm Sarah McBride. No, you're a man." Dressed like Aunt Bee in the Andy Griffith Show, and it doesn't really work. But in Munich, Hillary Clinton with a man named Tim McBride, who's a Democrat, so he says, "Call me Sarah McBride because I'm mentally ill." And this is kind of a fun thing because the transgender member of Congress, Tim McBride, who pretends to be Sarah McBride, gets and very sensitive to, what do you call it, dead naming and misgendering. And so here comes the boogeyman, but hang on, America. We can't be calling it the boogeyman anymore.
A strong man's greatest asset is scarcity.
Right.
When there is scarcity in jobs, when there is scarcity of opportunity.
What?
They pick boogeymen, or in this case, boogie people, and they blame them.
Or in this case, boogie people. Because what, they're dancing like boogie people? Boogie on down. That's the transgender person who used the word boogeymen because, again, it's Republicans are terrible people, and they're strong men, and their greatest tool is scarcity, which no one has ever heard or said before. And now we're all supposed to accept it because the cross-dressing mentally ill man is telling us that scarcity is somebody's secret weapon. And, strong men, and then they're boogeymen. But they're not boogeymen, they're boogie people. He did say strong man, right?
A strong man's greatest asset is scarcity.
Shouldn't that be a strong person's greatest asset? Is scarcity. Scariest asset is scarcity. They're literally mentally ill, and they're on parade. They're proud of their mental illness. They can't wait to share their mental illness with you. They can't wait to impose their mental illness on you because they are mental.
They pick boogeymen, or in this case, boogie people.
Yeah, but the strong men pick boogie people, and you're dressed like a lady, and Hillary Clinton is sitting there, and they're agreeing, yeah, the strong man, strong person's weapon is scarcity, because when there's not enough stuff, then the rifles come out, and the Democrats are coming, the Democrat Party. Ah, yes. And their theme song is Lola. Boys will be girls and girls will be boys. It's a mixed-up world. She's a mixed-up girl. And that was Congressman Tim McBride is today's Lola Award winner. They're all mental. I think it was 3 weeks ago now. My friend Jeff was just texting back and forth. Remember when Ilhan Omar, what was that, Bananas and Rice? Ilhan Omar was at some idiot event when one of her idiot followers walked up and squirted apple cider vinegar on her from a syringe, and everybody said it was sprayed. It wasn't sprayed, it was squirted. Can't even get that right. But 22 days ago, and the man that sprayed apple cider vinegar salad dressing, apparently, on Representative Ilhan Omar, who shouldn't be a member of Congress at all, the guy was arrested and dragged away and thrown in jail without bond. And that's the last we heard, because I saw he was thrown in jail without bail and then just completely disappeared.
Please don't let them have the show. Please don't let them have the show.
Please don't let them have the show. It's all a terrible television show. That was Ilhan Omar. There were scorpions crawling over her sun-bleached bones when she said that. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. Who else was in court today? We got to keep a court docket up on the wall in here, because the guy with the pizza cutter who tried to break Luigi out of jail, he's in court today, right? He's in court. He went into the jail, said, "I'm an FBI agent." He brought a pizza slicer and an oversized barbecue fork, and he was trying to break Luigi Mangione out of jail because he's in love with him, and he wants to wash his clothes on Luigi's washboard abs. Abs, I think is right. Yeah, Jill Biden is the other one, yeah, because, Jill Biden was married once before meeting Joe Biden. In fact, as the story goes, she was cheating on her first husband with Joe Biden because they're Democrats and all of that. But you may have heard that Jill Biden, because I talked about it here, Jill Biden's ex-husband has an ex-husband, and Jill Biden's ex-husband remarried after breaking up with Dr. Jill Biden, who is not a doctor. And then Jill Biden's ex-husband was arrested, a week ago or so, for murdering his second wife, because he married again. Jill Biden's ex-husband married another woman, strangely enough, and now he's in jail for murdering his second wife. And he was in court today. Long story longer. There it is. Just amazing. The long-ago first husband of former First Lady Jill Biden pleaded not guilty Tuesday to charges that he killed his current wife in Delaware. The media keeps doing that. It's not his current wife. She's dead now. Gavin Newsom was in Munich promoting himself as a possible future president of the United States. In the meantime, in California, gasoline-starved California is turning to fuel from the Bahamas. From the Bahamas, that's on the other side of the continent. You'd have to go through the Panama Canal, or you'd have to go around, through the Drake Passage, around the southern tip, Tierra del Fuego of South America. The Democrats ruin everything they touch. It's their goal. It's their stated goal. It's what they do. Yeah, but the Yahoo Finance and The Capitalist has a story, and Bloomberg. Gasoline-starved California is turning to fuel from the Bahamas. Sure, because gasoline is still like $6 a gallon, more than $5 a gallon in California. Commonly, I've got one brother in California, in San Diego, and he occasionally shoots a picture of the gas prices and sends them to me, sends the photo to me. But, yeah, the shipment, U.S. supplies of gasoline being shipped out of the country to travel thousands of miles via the Bahamas before finally ending up in California, a state battling shrinking fuel-making capacity and high pump prices because of Democrats. Shipments on the circuitous route are increasing. California imported more gasoline in November than ever before, with more than 40% of it coming from the Bahamas. The Bahamas. Sure, that's what they're doing. The Democrats. They ruin everything. Speaking of ruining everything, Manderson Pooper. You know Manderson Pooper? Manderson Pooper, he's a CNN pooper, and he's then 60 Minutes hired him, and they pay him millions of dollars. Everybody at 60 Minutes, every on-air person makes millions of dollars. And his family gave him hundreds of millions of dollars because, his mother invented blue jeans, and his father was a Wall Street tycoon, and his grandfather was a Wall Street tycoon. But never mind that. But Manderson Pooper is leaving 60 Minutes. Turned down offer to renew his deal with CBS. The left-wing Mediaite has the story. And the left-wing Mediaite has another story. Another black eye for Barry. Insiders dish on what drove Manderson Pooper to quit 60 Minutes. And here's the thing. Because Barry Weiss came in, and she wants to restore journalism, and Manderson Pooper just wants the donkey show at his private firehouse in Manhattan, right?
Sorry. That made me giggle every time I read it. All right. Sorry.
They're all unencumbered by traditional notions of masculinity, aren't they? Manderson Pooper, there's Manderson, he's having a giggle fest. He's giggling. Was he dressed like a lady in that video? It's hard to say. So Manderson Pooper leaving 60 Minutes. He doesn't need the millions and millions of dollars every year because his daddy gave him hundreds, and his mommy, Gloria Vanderbilt, she liked Vanderbilt, jeans. And that's good money. So Manderson Pooper doesn't need a multi-million-dollar 60 Minutes job with CBS News. And then the media, they attack Barry Weiss because she's normal. And that's going to be problematic with these people because they are not normal. Yes, sir. This is great. Gavin Newsom. Pretty good stuff. Ted Cruz tweeted, Gavin Newsom is historically illiterate. This is Senator Ted Cruz talking about Governor Gavin Newsom, as President Trump likes to call him. Ted Cruz says Gavin Newsom is historically illiterate. We break down his attacks on law enforcement on Verdict. And then he's got a link to the podcast, right? And then Gavin Newsom responded, and he retweeted Ted Cruz's tweet, and Gavin Newsom added, Ted Cruz calling a dyslexic person illiterate is a new low, even for him. So he's coming out of the closet as dyslexic now because Ted Cruz made fun of him? God, they're just pathetic little girl cross-dressing losers, aren't they? Boy, oh boy. And then they added, Senator Ted Cruz did not refer to Governor Newsom's ability to read, but rather his knowledge of history. Historically illiterate refers to knowledge of history. Newsom left the word historically out of the original tweet, which says historically illiterate. And that's what it says. Ted Cruz, Gavin Newsom is historically illiterate. Kind of like AOC. With her, the cowboys came from Mexicans. Right, Mexicans invented cowboys. They're all ill. They're all absolutely ill. Yes, sir. And he was making fun, Ted Cruz, on this podcast, making fun of Gavin Newsom, and we played the soundbite earlier, talking about, militarizing my city. You mean the law and order got so out of control that reinforcements had to be called in? And I remember Joe Biden calling up 25,000 National Guard to the city of Washington and there were guard troops on our streets for 4 months because January 6th, about 45 minutes, that got somewhat out of control at an otherwise mostly peaceful gathering on the west front of the Capitol.
I want to remember all those images of masked men, the secret police, something familiar in Germany. Those first images came out of my state. We saw 4,000 National Guard militarizing the streets of my city. Masked men showing up, unaccountable, no ID, smashing windows, dragging people out, people disappearing in the United States of America.
Stop killing people. Democrats should stop murdering everybody. If Democrats, it'd be like death takes a holiday, and we'd have the murder rate of Sweden overnight if the Democrats just stopped shooting people. How about that, you guys? Ted Cruz. So that was, of course, Gavin Newsom. And, oh, yeah, now he's being mean to me, and I'm a victim now because I'm dyslexic. And the fact that you're dyslexic means that you don't know where cowboys came from or horses came from or any of that. Ted Cruz decided after Gavin Newsom posted that ridiculous, pathetic little cross-dressing video, Ted Cruz decided that he'd respond to the Democrat California governor.
That is Gavin Newsom comparing American law enforcement to Nazis.
Yep. Which, by the way, is what Obama was doing, too. By the way, just like AOC and Whitmer, Newsom is apparently thoroughly historically illiterate. He said we've never seen National Guards federalized in the states. I guess his history book does not discuss the civil rights movement. He's never heard of a president named Dwight D. Eisenhower. He's never heard of sending the National Guard into southern states when Democrats who refused to desegregate schools resisted. Eisenhower sent the National Guard in. The pattern is the same. In this instance, you have Democrats who are saying we refuse to comply with federal immigration law. Then you had, in the 50s and 60s, you had Democrats saying we refuse to comply with civil rights law. In both instances, it is lawless Democrats attacking law enforcement. Gavin Newsom is proudly following the tradition of Bull Connor, another Democrat politician.
That's, I got to tell you, Ted Cruz, his brain works very effectively, and he speaks very well. And they should be beaten and flogged with their actual history every single day, and every time they're mentioned. It should, as Ted Cruz just did, it should be reminded that Sheriff Bull Connor, with the attack dogs and the fire hoses brutalizing civil rights marchers in the real civil rights movement, that he was a leading Democrat, a statewide leading Democrat, and every racist, filthy lynch mob was a Democrat racist lynch mob. Every Jim Crow law was a Democrat Jim Crow law. When Chuck Schumer, the Lizard King, goes around saying, it's asking people for ID on Election Day is Jim Crow 2.0. Well, they ask for ID on Election Day in Brazil, and they ask for ID on Election Day in South Africa, and they ask for ID on Election Day in Somalia. But the Democrats think that black people in America are too stupid and inept to possess a photo ID because they think all black people should be living under bridges with, what do you call it? Mad Dog 2020, a bottle of Mad Dog 2020, I think is what I'm looking for. Yes, sir. Yeah. And I was texting back and forth with Mike Opelka, with the wonderful Mike Opelka. And so we were talking about Hillary Clinton and Tim, Congressman Tim, who's a transgender person, and this insanity that they're peddling. And Mike Opelka says, so wait a minute. In the video, Hillary Clinton is wearing pants, and Tim is wearing a dress. Is that right? And I say, that's actually correct. Yeah, hit that on the head. That is a fact.
There are some who call me Tim.
Some who call me Tim. That's right. That's pretty great stuff. Yes, sir. President Trump put out a Truth Social tweet. It's a posting, a Truth Social posting, on the Reverend Jesse Jackson. He said, the Reverend Jesse Jackson is dead at 84. I knew him well, long before becoming president. He was a good man with lots of personality, grit, and street smarts. I think that's all true. He was very generous, someone who truly loved people, President Trump said, despite the fact that I am falsely and consistently called a racist by the scoundrels and lunatics on the radical left, Democrats all. It was always my pleasure to help Jesse along the way. I provided office space for him and his Rainbow Coalition for years in the Trump building at 40 Wall Street, responded to his request for help in getting criminal justice reform passed and signed. When no other president would even try, he said, single-handedly pushed and passed long-term funding for historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, of course, we have to abbreviate everything, which Jesse loved, but also which other presidents would not do. Yeah, like the black president, Barack Hussein Obama. And President Trump continues, responded to Jesse's support for opportunity zones, as a Ronald Reagan idea going way back to the first Reagan administration and so on. But never mind that. But it's good. It was a good idea. And President Trump was smart to do it. Opportunity zones, it's capitalistic and it's wonderful. So great. So the Opportunity Zones, the single most successful economic development package yet approved for black businessmen and women, and much more. Jesse, he says, Jesse Jackson was a force of nature like few others before him. That could certainly be true. He had much to do with the election without acknowledgement or credit of Barack Hussein Obama, a man who Jesse could not stand. He loved his family greatly, including that illegitimate child in 2001. And to them, I send my deepest sympathies and condolences. Jesse will be missed, President Donald J. Trump, President said. And again, we played a soundbite of Jesse Jackson from 1998, introducing President Trump at a Jesse Jackson event and thanking President Trump for all the help that President Trump, then Citizen Trump, had given to Jesse Jackson.
I do want to express thanks to you, Donald Trump, for being with us tonight. We need your building skills, your gusto. We thank you for coming tonight. Let's give Donald Trump a big hand.
That's good, guy. Jesse Jackson, and there he is. And it's great that President Trump says in here, Jesse could not stand Barack Hussein Obama. Pretty funny that President put in there. And, of course, Jesse Jackson did talk about forcibly neutering Barack Obama with a knife, like that. You know how that goes. Just like that. All right, I'm looking at more audio. We've got the well, let's go to number 8, because there's yet another transgender mass shooting. This one at a hockey game, a high school hockey game in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And the Pawtucket, Rhode Island police chief is a woman named Tina Goncalves. Tina Goncalves came out and described the scene.
Upon arrival, police were met with several people, obviously inside the arena, and there was 2 casualties within the arena.
There were.
The suspect was confirmed as one of those casualties. Later on, we learned that another casualty from the shooting was at the hospital, that they succumbed to their injuries after being at the hospital, and there is 3 additional victims at the hospital that all are in critical condition at this time. It appears that this was a targeted event, that it may be a family dispute.
It may be a family dispute, and it turns out Brent Scher reporting that court records detail the trans shooter's medical history and that he had full-blown gender reassignment surgery. Should you use that turn of phrase in this context? I'm not so sure. His wife filed for divorce, citing his gender reassignment surgery, narcissistic and personality disorder traits, and the fact that he's mentally ill, and that's why she divorced the lunatic who went and shot the place up. And it turns out that he had been posting, while calling himself a lady, he had been posting all over the internet about people saying that a transgender person was a man just because the person was a man, right? And he said again and again that when people misgender him and other cross-dressing transgender lunatics, it makes him want to go berserk. And you know what that reminded me of course? Billy Jack, Tom Laughlin, Billy Jack.
I just go berserk.
Billy Jack goes berserk, too. Yeah, and this cross-dressing lunatic posting all over the internet. Yeah, when people call me a man just because I'm a man, it makes me go berserk. Then Billy Jack had to beat up all the bad guys in town because they were mean to the little girl. They poured flour on her, and Billy Jack called her God's little gift to sunshine. So he had to beat everybody up. He went berserk. He's Billy Jack. Stephen Colbert is a left-wing party, Democrat Party frontman. CBS pays him $14 million a year to do late-night propaganda. And last night he was trying to do propaganda for the Democrat Party and a Democrat running for office in Texas named James Tallarico. And the network told him, listen, the FCC is watching our FCC licensing, and we only have Democrats on. He's got this Democrat Tallarico on. And the network said, now you're going to have his opponent on for equal time.
Sir, you're chairman of the FCC, so FCCU. Because I think...
Yes. He's already had his contract canceled, I think. His job ends in May, I think. Is that right, in May? So he's still got about $8 million coming in over the transom. I think I'd fire him today. Yeah, they don't believe in equal time or fairness. They believe in Democrat Party propaganda, and they're all front men.